All right. Let's see. We got news now.
Yeah.
With Dawson. I got stuff to get into as well, but let's get started with the news.
Well, this is a big story in the state of California, although no one in California seems to be paying attention to it. Dana Williamson, who was Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff, she was indicted on federal charges alleging she was involved in a scheme to steal campaign money from Health Secretary Javier Becerra. Now, this is the way the LA Times says it, steal campaign money. It was essentially laundering. The federal indictment lists four co-conspirators, and here's what it says. That they developed a plan with Sean McCluskey, who was a longtime Becerra aide.
Wait, is that Javier Baccaria?
Baccaria. Yes, that is Baccaria.
Wait, what did he call him? What was his first name he called him?
I think he did call him Javier. Let's see.
I thought he screwed up his first name too, but well, let's see if let's see if we got Biden doing the Javier Baccaria one. Let's see, that's fine. Oh man, never have the sound up.
It'll be on ST3.
All right, we'll figure out the sound on this thing. But anyway, Javier Baccaria. Let's see. Here we go.
And I'm grateful to the members of my COVID team that I'd like to introduce to you now, who will lead the way. I'm really proud of this group. For Secretary of Health and Education Service, I nominated Javier Baccaria.
All right.
Yeah.
There's Kamala wearing a mask. Okay. The guy who's talking, the guy whose mouth is opening and breath is escaping and spittle and particles are attached to that, wears no mask. The person that sits in silence behind the person that's talking is required to wear a fucking mask. Ladies and gentlemen, does anybody understand what was going on? The people who go up, they sit in silence, and then they walk up to the dais and they remove their mask, and then they start bloviating. That's when they start. It's essentially like saying, look, you're going to need to put your hand over your mouth except for when you sneeze.
Right.
Then you need it in your pockets.
Right. It's like putting on a Band-Aid when you're not bleeding.
Right. And kind of worse, like taking it off when you are.
Right. Yes.
So he wants to thank his COVID team, the group of fucking retarded liars who fucked up our society and your kids. That's the group. And part of that group was Javier Baccaria, who's Becerra.
Now, it's got to be clear that Baccaria is not included in this indictment. He's not implicated.
Can I say this? There is one good thing about all of these chicks who are being corrupted, who are getting brought up on this charge or that charge or forged papers or Fannie Willis or all these fucking corrupt bitches, all of them. Can we finally put to rest this shit I've been hearing my whole life? Like, if we had a woman in charge, none of this would happen.
We're going to triple down, dude.
They're just as bad, maybe worse. And by the way, a female of color in charge, they're all fucked up too.
Nope.
So please, can we just, here's what I want to say. Can we just put to rest this, if we had a female or a female of color things or a male of color, none of this shit would happen. Turns out they're every bit as corrupt and inept as old Whitey used to be.
Even
maybe
more. So.
More.
It
feels like their batting average is even worse than old white guy.
So here's what happened. Baccaria.
Or maybe old white guys knew how to get away with it.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, that's true. Baccaria, when he went to work for Biden, he had a leftover campaign account that was dormant. He took an aide with him who took a $180,000 pay cut. That was Sean McCluskey. So McCluskey wasn't happy about his $180,000 pay cut. And so these four people allegedly defrauded the old campaign account by having one of their wives collect money for work that wasn't done, and Dana Williamson was the ringleader of this whole thing.
It's also literally impossible to create a situation where you have politicians who are not underpaid, but they're not paid commensurate with what some people could do in the private sector.
Sure.
You know, they do okay.
Sure.
You know, they're somewhere between.
But you're expected to do shit in the private sector.
Well, that's a good point. But how can you expect this scenario? This scenario is you get paid a little bit more than a fireman. A little bit more. Not a lot more, but you get paid a little bit more than a fireman or a cop. Except for there's millions of dollars floating around you. There's people giving you money right and left. There's corporations giving you money right and left. There's donors and there's overseas. You're in a world where you get paid like a fireman, except for the fireman just lives with other firemen, drives a truck, and that's his life. But now we're saying in the firehouse, there's millions of dollars sort of floating around. Now, you have to keep track of it, and it has to be spoken for, but it's sort of floating around, and you can use it.
Yeah, it's in the department.
You can use it for your campaign and for travel and expenses, meals and airlines and hotels and things like that. And you can call certain things gifts or donations or something. What are the chances that's not going to be abused?
Zero.
It's literally zero. Like, what are the chances? What are the chances Nancy Pelosi's not going to make $1 zillion on the stock market because you have access to information and you have a husband who trades on the stock market? Is it possible? I don't think it's possible. So we should stop being surprised when this shit happens. Right. But let's dispel this noble chick thing where if we just had a bunch of women everywhere, none of this would ever happen.
No, they're going to double down. But anyway, she went on. She made this Dana Williamson made false statements to the FBI, so that was included in the indictment. The indictment also says that she made false tax returns. Now, this is very, very interesting. She was able to claim more than $1 million in business deductions that prosecutors said were for personal and non-deductible expenditures like private jet travel, hotel stays, home furnishings, and designer handbags, but $1 million. I know you don't look very closely at your taxes, but in your wildest dreams, unless you bought a new warehouse, could you have $1 million deduction, $1 million business deduction?
Well, once again, they're setting up a system that is daring people to try to game it and abuse it. And I'm talking about the tax system. You know, or you can call your car a work vehicle, and then, you know, how many miles do you think you drive every year in that work vehicle?
It's padded.
Probably about 8,000. Yeah, well, if you get over 10,000, it'll be better. Right. Oh, okay, well, let's make it 11,000. You know, I mean, it's just baked into everything, and I don't know why people are always like, these rich fat cats with their lawyers and their accountants. Yeah, that's what they're going to do everything all the time to avoid giving more money to the government. That's how it works. I was arguing with someone online, you know, like, oh, Adam went and got a PPE loan during COVID, and he's a rich guy, and why is he taking a PPE loan? Okay, first things first. I don't know how to do any of that shit, and I would never even think of it.
Right.
I have accountants.
Right.
And the accountants who pay in hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in taxes are in charge of seeing if you're eligible for a PPE loan because you run a small business with X amount of employees and you've been shut down by the state. So they do their fucking job. You understand?
Right.
And then later on, when you buy a car, they suggest you lease the car because then we can write off the insurance or the mileage or the lease or the taxes or whatever it is. They do it because you guys created a system where I give you half of my money and you do nothing.
Right.
That your system, here's our arrangement. Our arrangement is I work every fucking weekend. You take half my money, and when a fire breaks out near my house, there's no water in the reservoir.
Right.
That is your arrangement. Mm-hmm. With that in mind, then I hire people to take that half that I'm giving you, not to fill the reservoirs, but to build the bullet train or solve the homeless problem here in California, which never happens. The billions you guys squander of tax money, I then pay a guy to go, let's see if we can get that number from 50% to 41.5%. And then you poor assholes look at me and go, he's taking a loan. Or why does he? I bet he writes this. Yes, everyone does everything all the time. Mm-hmm. They go, well, Elon Musk, Target pays less than an average school teacher. Yeah, they're trying to save money. That's all they do. That's all they do. The government has essentially declared war on you and your savings account. They want all your money, and you are fighting tooth and nail to save a small percentage of that money.
Right.
And on rare occasion when the government shuts down your business and then offers a PPE loan that you're eligible for, then your people are not doing their job if they do not apply for that loan.
Correct.
And then they give you the money, and then the amount of money you get is basically what I pay in one quarter in taxes every single year for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Right. But
that seems reasonable.
But for one fleeting moment, I get something from them.
Right.
One fleeting moment. And then there's 150 you assholes on Twitter who think that's bad and make me and talk shit about me. I love it. I love it. And by the way,
Pelosi got like 2 PPP loans totaling almost near $1 million, and they were both forgiven.
By the way, I love it when people try to fuck this poor guy up from the Valley who never got shit from anybody ever. It's so funny. It's like, I just found out that Adam Carolla, who hasn't stopped whining about SNAP recipients getting food. By the way, I've never stopped whining about SNAP recipients getting food. First off, I've brought it up twice in 17 years. I always love that thing, like when dickheads go, why don't you get your best friend Dinesh D'Souza back on? Yeah, right. Dinesh D'Souza and I are best friends.
It's almost an ad hominem attack.
I've done 4,000 shows. Dinesh D'Souza's been on 2 of them.
Right.
So I hardly call that best friend status. But anyway, Adam never stops whining. Why do poor people have to have food? Yeah. Why can't my kids eat all their food? How come I have to do with 4? How come if I see a poor Mexican kid eating a churro, why can't I just snatch it out of his hand and throw it on the ground and laugh? How come? Because that's who I am. Because I'm cruel. I like, that's what I love. It's like, I'm like Donald Trump. I like pain. I'm cruel. I don't like people with their eating and their whining. So why they have to eat, but I never stop complaining about it. No, I don't want the system to be abused, and it's not good to be in the system in the first place because you stop learning how to hunt. Mm-hmm. Same reason at the national park they tell you to fucking put the lid down on the dumpster because the bears will get used to dining at the dumpster, and we want them out foraging and taking care of themselves. Well, same with human beings. Yeah. But anyway, just found out that Adam Carolla, who hasn't stopped whining about SNAP recipients getting food. And by the way, this SNAP rant is the longest SNAP rant I've ever done.
Yep.
Has a net worth of between $16 million and $20 million, and took out $300K. I didn't take it out. It wasn't $300K, but other than that, you're batting 1,000 in PPE loans. And now that were meant for struggling business owners. I do love the struggling. They were meant for anyone.
At the time, we were a struggling business. All of our advertising dropped. There was no way to pay the salaries of like 14 people.
Well, also, hey, douche, I supply salary. I created a business that other people benefit from because there's tons of people. It's not, obviously, there's the people who come into this building, and then there are a bunch of people who aren't in this building. There's salespeople, and there's everyone. The whole point is I have gotten a lot of people paid via my endeavors.
Yes.
And a simple thank you will be fine, except for it's always fuck you to the guy. And somehow the people that don't do shit are the noble people in our society. Fucking retards have flipped the script. You got it all backwards. And by the way, the day you get rid of all the people who create the jobs and all the fucking noble people who take snap, we're done. Yeah. And that's your utopia, but it's everyone else's hell. But anyway, well, I took this loan again. By the way, it's like people are funny. People accuse me of stuff like, you took that post down and stuff. I go, I don't even know how to take a post down. Right. I've never taken anything down. I would never know how to apply for a loan. It was applied for me, and then I was informed that we were eligible for it. I didn't even have to do a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
You can't even
They did their job. I can't even spell. The person applied, got it, and then informed me.
Right.
Because they knew they were doing their job to apply for it.
Right.
And they also knew they weren't going to need to check with me. If we complied, nobody broke any rules.
Right.
If we were eligible for a loan that they were offering because they closed my business, then my tax guy and my money manager it's a dereliction of duty if they don't apply for it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that's what I did. But anyway, I hate those kids with their food. And anyway, that was meant for struggling business owners. They never know how it goes.
You go back to accountants like this who are doing their due diligence.
Hold on. I just, in case anyone ever tries to shame me, it never works. It never works because I was poor my whole life and I work every fucking weekend. Right. So, and I fly Southwest. So please, it'll never work. My reply was, tell me how much you paid in taxes last year, then I will tell you how much I paid last year, and then you can shut the fuck up.
Well, this person in another tweet, first of all, spelled your name wrong, and then made a bunch of false accusations like you were a Nazi and a pedophile and whatever. I do. And the only thing you replied with was, it's Carolla.
C-A-R.
That's how to spell it. I love that.
I love the pedophile.
Right.
Yeah, let's see. I don't know. We can probably find the Nazi pedophile one too. I do not want to give my detractors any tips, but overusing the word Nazi is not helping you.
Sure.
Remember 10 minutes ago when you retards fucked out racist, and now no one cares?
Yeah.
Now you're going to fuck out Nazi and pedophile. Yes.
There it is. This is Adam Carolla attacking people who can't afford to eat. He's a pedophile supporter with no talent. And you're like, it's spelled Carolla, not Carolla.
That's right.
That's good. Well, speaking of the people doing everything they can because accountants do it within the law. Your accountants did the right thing within the law. These people in the California government, this Dana Williamson, believed she would never get caught.
Yes.
And had Trump not won this election, she might not have ever gotten caught. But she's facing 23 charges, including conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud.
Yeah, listen, I want to say to people all the time about all this stuff, what's Trump doing? Hey, well, this is retribution. Yeah, retribution for what? This is payback. Payback for what? This is revenge. Revenge for what? Yeah. Well, you trying to put him in jail for 4 years. That's what he's doing.
Exactly.
Now, here's the good news. If you didn't do anything, then fine. This person's trying to bust me on a PPE loan. Yeah. I didn't do anything, though. It's all above board. Right. So knock yourself out and go talk to my accountant.
Right.
So you go, well, what if Gavin Newsom comes after me for a PPE loan? Then I go, well, I didn't do anything. It's all according to the law.
Exactly.
So then I'm fine. And they go, are you okay with Gavin Newsom? Yeah, I'm okay with it. If I didn't do anything, then no, I'm not going to jail. And neither's anybody.
Right.
This thing where it's like, oh, he's declared war. If there's nothing there, there's nothing there.
And what happened to nobody is above the law? I can't wait to watch Swalwell go down. That's going to make me so happy.
I'm just saying, if you didn't falsify some loan or say you worked in lived in a residence you didn't live in or whatever, if you didn't do any of that, then by all means. These are the same assholes. They did the same shit with stop and frisk. Like, you think it's okay to stop 17-year-old black men walking down the streets of Manhattan? Well, if you don't have a gun, then you don't have a gun.
Right.
If I'm walking down the fucking street of Old Town Pasadena and I pass a couple of cops and the cop goes, "Are you packing a pistol?" I would go, "No." And then they'd go, "Can you pull up your sweatshirt?" And I'd go, "There you go." And they go, "All right, have a good day." That's fine. I don't have a gun. I didn't do anything. I'm not going to jail. There's nothing. And am I offended? Not really. I kind of like them out there doing that.
Sure.
I'm fine with that. So whoever, if you didn't do anything, then good luck to Trump. But if you did something and you tried to put him in jail, well, now there's something. And then you go, well, yeah, but are you Al Capone? I mean, you did a little something, but you do the same thing everyone else does. You know, you go, how many dependents do you have on your taxes? And you go, well, it's just me and my dog. 3. So is that legal? Well, not technically. Does everyone do it? Yeah. Okay. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is you tried to bust your opponent on claiming too many dependents.
The problem.
And now he's in charge. And guess what? He wants to know how many dependents you claimed.
Yep.
And then you go, what's the big deal? Everyone collect. Yeah, that's true. But you tried to put him in jail for that. So now he is allowed to do the exact same thing to you, which you should have thought about before you tried to put him in jail. But I get your plan. Put him in jail, and then we'll never have to deal with this ever again.
Right. But
it's like, here's what I say to people all the time. Yeah, here's the deal. You are allowed to jump over your neighbor's fence and steal their hibachi. And 9 times out of 10, at noon on a Tuesday,
you get away with
and you don't see their car in the driveway, you're going to get away with that guy's hibachi, and you can enjoy your teriyaki burger, and he'll be none the wiser. But once in a while, his car's at the shop, and he's home cleaning a shotgun. And shit happens. Now, did you deserve to get shot for stealing the hibachi? No, you did not.
Of course not.
But you jumped over the fence. And once you went over the fence, the second you landed in his yard, you rolled the dice.
Unless you're in California.
That's right. All right. What else you got?
President Trump said he's going to sue the BBC for billions of dollars after the British public broadcaster published a misleading edit of one of his speeches. I did not know. I've heard the edit. We're going to listen to the edit, but I did not know it was this bad. Did you know that inside this edit is a 50-minute period?
50-something minute.
Yes. So all he's been talking for almost an hour, and they made it seem like this all happened at once.
So you start talking at noon, you say something at 12:03, and at some point they edit it into something you said at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And they presented it as real. And Trump, he said, let's listen to this really quick.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Yeah. There we go.
And we're going to fast forward 54 minutes.
And we fight.
See, 54.
We fight like hell.
Yeah.
And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Can I say this? Let me just say this to everybody. First off, I love the fact that they cook videos to only be negative against Trump all the time, but they're not biased. They're not biased.
No.
It's just that's the way it always turns out.
News.
You're an umpire who calls balls and strikes until your son is pitching, and then ones in the dirt are called strikes. But you're not biased. You're a good umpire. You just got a few bad calls in there. But you never call a strike a ball when your son is pitching. It's only one direction all the time. All right, everyone understand this. January 6th. January 6th was called the greatest attack on our nation's soil since 9/11, worst thing since Pearl Harbor, and so on and so forth. Democracy hanging by a thread, this close to losing democracy. Okay, the hyperbole, let's not call it hyperbole. Let's just call it the description around January 6th as our democracy was hanging in the balance in the midst of a full-blown insurrection. A full-blown insurrection, and our democracy was hanging by that. Like let's just say I took a founding father, and I reanimated him, and I said to George Washington, I go, look, we're going to have a situation in the future where there's an insurrection. And he's like, an insurrection? I'm like, oh, yeah, an armed insurrection. He's like, an armed insurrection where they attacked the Capitol and our democracy was hanging by a thread, and we came this close to losing our democracy. And it was worse since our entire naval fleet was almost taken out in Pearl Harbor. That's something that's going to happen in the future, but just take my word for it. Or the Twin Towers were taken down when commercial airliners, or as you call them, metal birds, were flown into them. And it's all that. Right. Okay. That's how bad it was. Okay. When something is actually like Pearl Harbor, they got a body count with Pearl Harbor. They got how many ships were destroyed, and they got a body count.
They got memorials.
They have memorials. They have a body count for 9/11. When something is actually what it is, you don't need to cook it and pat it all the time. You don't need to do it. It is what it is. The buildings are gone. The towers are gone. The 3,000 Americans are gone. That's what it is. Pictures of people jumping from burning buildings and hitting the ground. Right. That's what it is. Films of commercial airliners hitting the building. You don't need to pad it. You don't need to doctor it. You don't need to cook or edit video.
You don't need to delete
it.
70% of it.
You don't need to delete whatever files you guys created from your January 6th committee. You don't need to lie about. You don't take people who worked at the Capitol 6 months later committed suicide because their girlfriend left them and count that as a death from that event. You have plenty of bodies. Let me ask you this. January 6th, they have no bodies. Well, they have Ashley Babbitt, who was shot in the face by one of the police officers, but they don't like that story, so they avoid that story very clearly. But 9/11, I don't know, 2,872 or some number, about 3,000 people died, right? Do they pad that number months on because of a widow who committed suicide because she lost her husband? Right. Are we padding that number too? We're going to keep padding? So on Pearl Harbor, there's some 20-year-old who was on one of those ships who perished, and then somewhere in Pasadena, California, was a 20-year-old woman, and they just got engaged. And at some point, she was distraught and threw herself off the Hollywood sign and killed herself. Are we counting that as a Pearl Harbor death? And if not, why not? According to your fucking logic. But you guys are lying and cooking, and that's how I know it's bullshit. Because when it really happened, you don't need to lie, you don't need to edit, and you don't need to cook. Right. And that's all you guys do.
You don't need a Hollywood TV presentation to convince the country of something. You just have the facts.
You got AOC saying that she thought she was going to be raped and killed.
She wasn't there.
And not in the building.
Right.
Why do you need her saying she was in the building when she wasn't in the building if you're not cooking all of this? So spare me if I'm a little dubious. who wouldn't be dubious? You guys are cooking everything. You're doing the same thing you did with COVID deaths. Guy fucking dies on a moped and you call it a COVID death.
Right.
So
they had people dying of gunshot wounds. They called COVID.
Pardon me for being a little dubious because you guys are cooking numbers and information.
But what does it say about the rest of the people who just believe this stuff? Are they simply incurious, or are they gullible enough to believe everything the government says? That, I think, is the biggest problem, is the people who just absorb everything you tell me, even though it's conflicting and disproving of something you told me 5 years ago. Accept it.
You know how many people in my life who've recounted something to me where they go, look, here's what happened. And I go, that's not what happened.
Right.
I'll tell you what happened. I was there, and here's how it played out because I was there, and I know exactly what happened. Somewhere the over-under is about 7 weeks where they come back to me and go, let's not have this happen again. And I go, I told you that didn't happen, and here's what happened. Right. And I now realize that people have an infinite capacity to lie to themselves. And also there's a kind of it's a narcissistic thing. It's funny. Dr. Drew sent me something today, which is interesting. It's a fun experiment. I'll put it on Andrew for a second. But Andrew, there was a narcissist. It was a guy doing a sketch basically about, are you a narcissist? You know, it's a funny thing. Show up to the narcissist. You know, AA for a narcissist or something. You know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a real simple thing. When you say things that are sort of normal things and then sort of apply it to other people, if you laugh, then that means there's something wrong with the other person or your relationship. Now, I'll explain that.
Okay.
I have laughed. Now, if I said to you, Dawson, 10 years ago, if you said, what'd you do this weekend, Adam? And I'd say, yeah, my dad came by and we put a deck on the house. You'd start laughing because you know Jim Carolla would never fucking come over and put a deck on your house, right? Right. But there are other dudes you know who, if you said that about me, well, what'd you do this weekend, so-and-so? Adam came by and we put a deck on the house. Then you'd go, cool.
Yeah.
Because I might do that, right?
Right.
And if I said to you, you know, if you said to me, what'd you do this weekend? And I'd go, well, you know, I had the Celebrity Grand Prix race, and my mom was there, and she took out a hotel room in Long Beach, invited all her friends over, and they got one of those condos.
Did she bring
Zorback. She got her and Zorback. They rented one of those condos out on the back straight.
Did she wear her dress, Moo?
She hung a big sheet out on the balcony where they can see on the back straight over there with my car number on it, nice. Rainbow tape, right? Yep. You would start laughing, right? Because that would never happen.
I am laughing.
Now, you're laughing. Okay. Now, what does that mean? Well, there's some people would do that. You know what I mean? And if you said, like you took, all right. So, and it also means they probably should have done that shit at some point because it's normal shit.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, so here's the thing. I've said this to Drew many times. Regarding narcissists, is this the Michelle Obama curly hair tweet? I'm going to say no, because I will bring that up. This is a bit that a guy did about narcissism that's a comedy bit. But
I'm sorry. I thought you wanted me to find something on your Twitter. I was looking on it.
No, Drew sent it to me, but it's out there somewhere. I get a lot of this in my life, but anyway.
I think I saw it.
Drew sent it to me. Okay, here's my whole point.
But I just glanced.
Here's my whole point. Are you ready?
Yes.
In this thing, and everyone think of the people they know, you know. Think about this very simple sort of thought experiment. Think of the person, like you think about Mike August, right? Mm-hmm. And you go, Mike, I think you're confused and you messed up this booking date. And he said, you're right, I was. Sorry, won't happen again.
Yeah, right.
Right. Okay. So you can't picture that coming from his mouth.
No.
Right. So if you can't picture, and by the way, you can do it with, I can do it with my ex-wife. You can do it with business partners. You do it with a friend where you go, hey, you screwed this up. And they go, you know what? I did. And I'm sorry. And it's not going to happen again. If you can't picture that ever coming from their mouth ever, well, then you're dealing with a fucking idiot and a narcissist. You're dealing with that thing.
Huh.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
What I'm saying is if I said I told Dr. Drew he was mistaken and he got the time wrong for when we're going to meet to dinner, and he said, sorry, you're right, I got confused, won't happen again, that's perfectly fine. If I said that coming from Mike August's mouth, you'd start laughing. Because Mike would say, I sent you an email changing the time and you never got it. Or whatever that thing is.
Okay.
So the experiment with like the people in your life, picture them saying things like, sorry, not going to happen again. Like, okay, remember I used to work here, Donnie. Mm-hmm. Picture me going, Donnie, you screwed up the scheduling. Picture him going, sorry, boss, not going to happen again. I'll make sure of it.
Yeah, no.
Never say. He'd go, you screwed things up too.
Right.
Last Tuesday, you said, right?
Right.
Right. We all have those people, but then there's other people. So just picture the people in your life saying things like that. Like even my dad. My dad wouldn't go like, sorry, screwed up, not going to happen again. He'd go, no, you said earlier, yeah, that was on you. You know what I mean? Like it's always either I didn't do it or what about you, right? Dawson screwed something up an hour ago. I said, did you get the news? He goes, they didn't get news. I said, oh, I thought you got the news. And he goes, I got the news. Sorry. My bad. All right. If you can't do that simple thing. Now, everybody, by the way, who doesn't do it, they go, you never do it.
Right.
They always accuse you of never doing it.
Now, is this
and
just
I
a
don't
sign?
do it. I don't do it that much.
It's just a sign
but I don't do it that much because I don't fuck up that much.
Right. But is this just a sign of possible narcissism? Like, we're not saying that Mike August is a narcissist, although Mike August, I've had these conversations.
No, he's not. But you just have to think about people, and you go, could you picture? Like, you would start laughing if you heard Mike. If you heard in your head, Mike said, "That's 100% on me. I'll learn from this. It's not going to happen again."
Yes.
Right. Okay. So the internet, Andrew, how does the internet work in that we can't find things? But I'm always curious. I'm not blaming you, but it has nothing to do, obviously, with
what is the thing in question here?
What are you putting in there?
I'm looking at your tweets. I'm looking at your messages.
But we said no to that.
But so
Drew sent me something.
Yeah, where did he send it to you?
He sent me a text or something.
Okay, I don't have access to your phone.
Right, but the internet may have something. This may be on the internet.
I believe I saw something with Dr. Drew and Narcissism on X.
On X, on Dr. Drew's page.
Yeah, try there. I believe
but if you just type in narcissist test sketch.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Let me check. Hold on a second.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Just check the internet.
I'm in the process of doing that.
Do
right
that
now.
thing on the internet.
So anyway, Trump said he's going to sue the BBC for anywhere between $1 billion and $5 billion. I love him.
Let me say this. I've said it a million times.
Probably sometime this week.
I don't know why we stopped the clock as long as we're talking to Andrew, but we did. Or it stopped on its own. I don't know how that works. But all right. And now it's running, but it's 22 minutes behind or something. All right. So here's the thing. I hate people that sue people, and I hate living in a litigious society.
Sure.
On the other hand, if it will stop if it will dissuade news outlets from lying all the time,
of course,
then I'm all for it.
Well, let's say the patent trolls lawsuit that or maybe you were sued and defended, but essentially you attacked them so that they would stop doing this to everyone else.
Yes, and Mark Maron never stops thanking me.
I know. I heard him just the other day. He mentioned it to Obama.
All the folks that have podcasts never stop thanking me for doing the battle so that they could freely podcast on their show. All right, here it is. And you only need to really listen to the first 45 seconds of it where he basically does what I've complained about. Like I said, imagine, like I said, could be my ex-wife, could be a kid, could be a dad, could be a business guy. Just picture them saying things like, hey, last time we went to lunch, you paid. I'm going to pick this one up. If the answer is that person would never do that, then you have to sort of think about who that person is. And if you cannot picture the words, the sound of that person going, you're right, my bad, that's on me. And you know what? I'm embarrassed. And it's never going to happen again. If you can't. Now, when my kids were 15, I could picture my son saying that. But I couldn't picture my daughter saying it. Because she wouldn't say it. And many other people wouldn't say it. I could picture Dr. Drew saying it. I could not picture Donnie saying it. Because Donnie wouldn't say it. Right. Dr. Drew would.
Right.
And then people want to know what's wrong with everybody. All right, we'll play just the first. I'll say in advance, we should turn the sound on. I don't know why you're
All right,
laughing.
welcome to Narcissist Rehab, where this will most likely be a colossal waste of my time. I don't know why I'm here because I've never done anything wrong. Yeah, you're in the right place. Let's start off with something simple. Repeat after me. I'm sorry, that was wrong. I'm sorry that you made me do that. Close, but the opposite of what I just said. I'm sorry you can't take a joke. Even worse, just repeat after me. I care about how my words and actions impacted you. Why are you complaining when I'm clearly the victim here? Nope, that's not it. Your feelings aren't my problem. Once again, let's just stick to the script.
Go to the top one more time. It's literally what I've been yelling about. Like, I cannot physically say it.
All right, welcome to Narcissist Rehab, where this will most likely be a colossal waste of my time. I don't know why I'm here because I've never done anything wrong. Yeah, you're in the right place. Let's start off with something simple. Repeat after me. I'm sorry, that was wrong. I'm sorry that you made me do that. Close, but the opposite of what I just said. I'm sorry you can't take a joke. Even worse.
All right, sorry. The you made me do that part, I know it's all a joke, but most of the time I say to someone you did something wrong, they go, you
said it.
You... whatever it is.
That's what you told me. You told me to do that.
There's a you told me, you said it, and there's a version where you sort of made me do it through your whatever.
Right.
Yeah. It's a problem, people. Character. Pass it on. All right. What else do we got? Sorry.
Fred Goldman, maybe he's a little closer to maybe finally receiving some payment money from O.J. Simpson's estate nearly 3 decades after winning the wrongful death judgment against O.J.
Mm-hmm.
The executor of the Simpson estate has accepted Goldman's creditor claim of $57,997,000 and change.
That is a lot of mustache wax.
Yeah. Can you imagine? That's Diddy level.
I would be the worst
wax.
mustache wax guy.
Wow.
You know how fucking lazy I am? I would, like, for me, putting on jeans or shoes I have to tie are like, ugh, such a waste of time. I'd be the worst transvestite, and I'd be the worst mustache wax guy. Because the mustache, I'd always be like, fuck, I don't got time to wax. It'd just be hanging off the side of my face. Or I'd be like, I got time to wax one side, but not the other. So one would be limp and hanging in my salad, and the other would be all curled up, looking like Snidely Whiplash.
Oh, you'd have to incorporate it into your alarm setting routine. Shit, I got to get up 15 minutes early for the mustache.
I got to set. I got to back. Yeah. I have to reverse engineer the alarm clock because I need mustache wax time. How old is Goldman now?
God, he's got to be almost 80, right? It was 3 decades ago.
It was 30.
He was 50 at least.
It was 30 years ago. And the scary part is...
He could have been in his 40s.
Yes, he could have been in his 40s. He's a strange guy. But, wait a minute. Let's see where he is. How old is he? And by the way,
84.
84. Is that money Anyway, sorry. But between the long hair that's sort of flipped back and the smoked shades and the mustache wax, he had a little mafiosa fucking somewhere between an enforcer and a kingpin. You know what I mean? Like he had a vibe.
It does kind of look like his last name ends in a vowel.
Yeah, he had a kind of look with between the mustache, the hairstyle, and the smoked shades. The indoor prescription glasses, a little bit smoky at the top. He had that look like he was doing something.
Yeah, his name would be Fredo Goldmano.
So he's 84. Is there money in the estate? Though that's
the big question here.
That's the question. Like everyone's like, he got awarded 57. Yeah, 50. You could go fucking look. You could pick up a day laborer over at Home Depot, bring him over to your house. He could kill your wife when he was drunk, and you could sue him for $60 million. But guess what? There's no money.
Right.
Right. So is there money?
So, they're still auctioning stuff off, trying to get there. This. I guess the point here is the original $33 million. Goldman argued that it was the value was exceeding $117 million today. They agreed on the $59 million thing, but the executor of the estate said they intend to pay as much of the approved amount as possible through ongoing auctions of Simpson's possessions.
Well, here's what Google says. O.J. Simpson was not broke when he died, as he had an estimated net worth of $3 million. Now, first off, this estimated net worth stuff is insane on the internet, so you never know what you're dealing with. But was deeply in debt to the families of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman, while his estate would be responsible for the more than $100 million, blah, 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 blah. It gets an NFL pension, right? There's like SAG stuff. I mean, there's stuff you could get. There is memorabilia. But you're not getting a lump of cash from OJ.
No.
That's for damn sure. All right.
No.
Thank you.
So Ford Motor Company has been unable to fill about 5,000 openings for mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And starting salary they're offering is $120,000 a year.
Jesus
Problem
Christ.
is everyone's getting bad degrees and wasting their time in college instead of going to a trade school. But the Ford CEO, Jim Farley, saying that we are in trouble. We're not talking about this enough. We have over 1 million openings in critical jobs, emergency services, trucking, factory workers, plumbers, electricians, and tradesmen. We don't have the trade schools, and we don't have the people filling these jobs.
What? Jesus Christ. Literally, I can remember where I was sitting in 1996, 1997, when I was doing Loveline. And lest you think this wave of stupidity that has washed over the nation is new, it goes back. You can get rid of the clock, by the way, if it's going to be 18 minutes or 22 minutes or whatever off. It actually does more harm than good at a certain point. Yeah. But
I have no idea why it stopped.
It's just bad computer stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. I was sitting there in my Loveline studio, literally 1996, 1997, whenever all this bullshit Save the Music. Hi, I'm Sheryl Crow. Schools need, and I said, schools need shop class.
Yes.
Schools need shop class. We don't need a fucking oboe.
Yes.
We don't need the oboe. And the same old jack-offs who were playing hero had to do. A lot of schools don't have access to oboes, and I'm Sheryl. I'm Sheryl Crow, and I'm a hero, and I'm going to fight for bullshit that it's not necessary in the real world. Ford doesn't need 5,000 celloists, you fucking idiots.
That's right.
They need people who work,
right,
who have a fucking skill that you never taught them because you decided that music was the number one thing missing from the inner city kids. See, more fucking do-gooders fucking up people. By the way, same people, 20 years later, 25 years later, COVID comes down the pike, shut the schools.
Mm-hmm.
You fucking hero retards.
Mm-hmm.
You people. You're doing damage, is what I'm saying. You're not only not heroes, you're fucking kids up. They need shop class, not woodwinds.
Right.
By the way, once we're done with all the shop class, if there's a little money left over and they can sit there and play the oboe, then so be it.
Mm-hmm.
But first there's shop, then there's band. You guys did this whole save the music. Find me one of those shitty save the music commercials from like the late 90s with
those.
the fucking hero musicians
also,
out there.
See, at that time, we were fully, my family was way in on this too. My parents told me I wasn't allowed to go to state school. I had to go to the University of California because that's where the smarter kids went.
Yeah, listen.
And I looked down. I had one of my friend's older brothers after high school. He did not go to college. He went to mechanic school. And immediately the guy's making money. He's got a house with a pool. He's 21 years old.
Right.
And I always looked down on that guy. I looked at him like he was stupid.
Yeah, I'm not saying that good people weren't drawn in to this stuff. There's good people that got drawn into the food pyramid. There's good people that got drawn into COVID. There's like good people that got drawn into a lot of shit because
at one point though, it becomes not so much this is the way to go. It becomes don't do it this other way. Screw trade school. You need to go to college. Those trade school people are idiots. And at one point, it really became that.
I've said it a million times. There can't be. Everyone wants to live in a world where it's like, what do? Well, we uplift people of color. We take people of color and we fight for them. Systemic racism. And what's wrong with helping people of color? Well, I'll tell you what's wrong with it. Nothing. But at a certain point, you got to figure out what Whitey's up to and fuck them up. That's the problem. Look, everyone should go to college, right? At some point, you start attacking blue-collar people.
Right.
Because you can't just do it. I've said it a million times. You can be a Baltimore Ravens fan for so long, but eventually you're a Baltimore Ravens fan and you hate the Steelers.
Right.
And you want to punch the guy in the Steelers jersey. It's not just I love the Ravens.
Right.
It's I'm going to punch the guy in the Steelers jersey.
Right.
It's not just let's uplift women of color. It's go find white dudes and go after their shit.
Well,
it has to be that way, everyone.
Do you remember about 5 years ago when in order to help people of color, the UC system stopped requiring SATs. Right. And now more than half of the students at UC San Diego don't know fifth grade math.
Right. So my point is yes, let's get more Hispanics into UCLA. Noble. At a certain point, you got to start cutting some eligible Asians because they're taking up too much room. So, see, it's not just let's help this group. At some point, let's fuck up the other group.
Exactly, and that's what it became.
That's what it became. Yes. Thank God my
Save
family.
the music. Save the music.
Here we go. It's a clip of, I don't know.
Want to help kids learn? Help VH1 Save the Music. A kid who learns music reads better, scores higher on the SATs,
stays out of trouble.
Well, yeah.
Usually.
Because those
public school music programs are in
Asian,
trouble.
They have parents. They're forced to take violin lessons for 4 hours a day.
What year
yes,
is this?
They do get higher SAT scores.
Yes, everyone. Yes, I know. Turns
Who
out
can
people that
read
listen
music.
to classical music. Yes, I know. Because you're not running serpentine while you're being shot at by a gangbanger when you're listening to classical music. 1998.
Correlation, not causation.
Play it out. Sorry.
Call toll-free 1-888-VH1-4-MUSIC to find out how you can help.
VH1 Save the Music, because music education equals brain power.
Okay, everyone's a hero, everyone's noble, and now these fucking kids got some sort of history and Chicano studies bachelor degree and they can do shit with it. They can't work. And by the way, Jim Farley's not hiring any of these homos.
Right.
So you could make $120 And I never even thought about with Ford. You know, you think about Ford, you go, oh, well, building cars. They have so many million feet of factory that it's all plumbing, electricians. Right. Fuck cars. Right. They have to have maintenance in those places that are unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And you
They
get paid
said
good
in this
fucking
article
money with good benefits.
it takes 5 years to learn how to take a diesel engine out of a Ford F-350. It takes 5 years.
Okay.
Did you see, just really quick, did you see the newest Save the Music is Scarlett Johansson talking about free food for children at schools, because if we did not have free food at schools, Scarlett Johansson would not be able to act. She wouldn't be able to act. We wouldn't have her.
I'm just saying,
we wouldn't have her.
In my poor world of being super unpopular with every opinion I have, that was not popular to scream about fuck music in the late 90s.
Sure, no, not at all.
And what about, I was out on an island talking about shop class. By the way, I was sitting next to Dr. Drew, who was having none of shop class either. He was all about school all the time. Dr. Drew thought two things. Dr. Drew thought if you play it again, all the way back to the news anchor, it appears they're big fans of Steve O from Jackass over there, because evidently they named a highway after him. Let's see if I can hear that again.
Witnesses are recounting some of the drama that unfolded on the Sunshine Coast this afternoon. Two sisters have told how their mother and man raced to help when the carjacked SUV rolled on Steve Irwin Way, only to find the gun-wielding
Steve Irwin Way. He's fucking huge there.
It's got a ramp. Every 100 yards is a ramp.
Steve Irwin Way over there. Someone's got to tell Steve he's got to pull up stakes and move where he's loved. Get out of Hollywood. Go down to Steve-O Way, be the fucking king of Perth.
Yeah, no speed limit on Steve-O Way.
No
it's
way.
Next to Bam and Jared Dirt Road.
That's right. All right, one more.
All right, let's talk a little music, huh? Gene Simmons is sick and tired of bands like Santana telling him to get off the stage. Gene Simmons was very candid about this. He said the Detroit Rock City singer, now 75, brought up Santana when answering a question about Kiss. Apparently, back in the day, Carlos Santana had a couple of choice words, and finally, Gene Simmons reacted by saying, "I'm sick and tired of these bands like Carlos Santana looking at his shoes and thinking that's a rock concert." Which there has been a couple of times I've gone to see a few bands that are a little bit older, a little longer in the tooth. Three Dog Night, man, they basically prop those guys up there with Ken doll stands. But really? I saw Alice Cooper maybe 8 months ago. One of the best shows I have ever seen. In fact, blew Rob Zombie off the stage. It was amazing.
Really?
Dude, I saw AC/DC on Friday night at the Rose Bowl, and I kept joking after the show. And they kind of mailed it in. They gave 1,000%. Yeah. And Angus is wailing. There's a runway that he's doing the, what do you call it, the duck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that duck walk.
He's doing the duck walk up. He's 70 years old, and he's going up a flight of stairs, and 2 hours and 15 minutes nonstop.
Here's a bigger question.
Amazing.
What's going on with you guys in your amazing lives? Like, I watch Love on the Spectrum, beat off, and went to bed at 9:30. What is this going on tour with groups and seeing all these shows? How do we do this?
I think it's just the methamphetamines. It just makes me want to do stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's really weird because it's sad because, like, I love Three Dog Night and I hate Alice Cooper, but then you're like, I saw Three Dog Night, but Alice Cooper puts on a show, and I was like, oh, man.
But no, still great musicians. It's just it's sad to see them up there because they do have to they play 4 or 5 songs, and then all of a sudden, like, a couple other guys come out and play instruments, and then they drift off into the shadows, and then they come back. So they're definitely neat, but still good, tight.
There's a video of Smokey Robinson coming out on stage, and every time I'm working a casino, there's always a poster up that Smokey's coming next month, and he's got to have more money than God. And I don't know how old he is, but they show him on stage. The microphone is around his navel, and his mouth is really not moving at all. And the lyrics are coming out loud and clear.
Oh, yeah.
Shuffling across the stage.
Yeah,
What?
I think Frankie Valli's sort of the king of that one.
I've seen that.
A lot of those. But and then you kind of wonder, like, there's a lot of who's making him do this. I don't know. I had an old dad. I couldn't get him to do shit.
Yeah.
Like, if I would have said, hey, Jim, get on your feet and go out and make me some money on stage. He'd be like, fuck you, buy me another trumpet.
Right.
I'm drinking this Ensure. Like, I don't know. Fitzdog, do you think like when you're 89, people are going to be like, you got to hit the road. You're going to be like, I can't think straight. Go out on stage. Push him out there.
My kids are going to need me to.
They're going to need that.
At this rate. Yeah, for sure.
Sound crystal clear up there, too.
Yeah. Now, I like to wrap it up in about 5 years. I've worked my ass off since I was in college. I've been doing stand-up 6 nights a week for 36 years, on the road, doing podcasts. I feel like I want to be young enough to enjoy. I got a lot of interests. There's a lot. I want to go see AC/DC more. I want to see concerts. I want to fucking travel. Enough. I made my point. I crawled my way to the middle. How many people can say that?
Your flag.
Yeah.
Squarely on the prime meridian.
I don't know what
the globe of comedy.
The top half of the ladder, it's too far to fall. I like right in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going to dismount.
Yeah, people start pulling up old tweets and catching. I guess what it is can you take a piss somewhere in public, outdoors, and not have it end up somewhere?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is Dave Chappelle can't pull his dick out when he's on a walk and just start pissing on somebody's ivy because someone's Ring doorbell will spot it. It's going to end up on TMZ. He couldn't do that. Fitzdog probably
making bad decisions. Like, what do we predict is going to happen? Because from what I'm seeing, Patrick Soon-Shiong is the one who's doing all the commenting, making all the statements. Is he taking it back from Nika? Like, what?
Well, based on what's been published the last few days, no, they published their endorsement of George Gascon, one of the most vile pieces of journalism I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just completely devoid of any reality whatsoever about how he did such a good job and how he's, he made promises that people supported and he's implementing those and they've served the people of Los Angeles. Completely psychotic. Patrick Soon-Shiong, he's shown so far he doesn't have the courage or the manhood to go ahead and do this and do the right thing. He's not going to do that. There's no chance. The only chance that the LA Times turns around is if it gets so painful for him, and it is getting very painful. And I'll tell you why I know a little bit more inside baseball in just a second. It might get to the point where he cries uncle and sells it. Not that I'm criticizing Rick Caruso or that I have told him directly this, but Rick Caruso spent a lot of money running for mayor. If he wants his most highest ROI function or activity, go buy this puppy off Patrick and turn it into something sensible.
Yeah.
And I plan on delivering that message to some of his people. No, the best case scenario realistically with Soon-Shiong in this restructuring is not that the LA Times becomes a respectable publication again. It's that it's now so shamed and now is held in such low standard and light that the impact that it has recently had, even when it's not really a highly circulated newspaper, but still has the power of the endorsement, that more people just ignore it. There could be after this, because like I said, most people don't pay attention. Most people don't realize that the LA Times sucks. This is the type of story that makes headlines, that gets people's attention, might make them realize that, this paper is not worth listening to
This
anymore.
could be like Harvard or
little bit
Penn or MIT, that people don't pay attention, but then you get onto the radar. And that becomes the beginning of the end.
Right.
I don't have any faith in anybody with bad ideas reconsidering their ideas. Everybody I've known with bad ideas has ridden those bad ideas into the grave. And I did my experiment with COVID because I shouted about everything COVID all the time. Everyone shouted at me that I was, baby killer and I hated grandpa and I hated kids and people of color and they attacked me. And then I turned out to be right about everything, and I've not heard any apologies. So people, especially hard left people, they do not have a way to change course. And I don't know why it's baked in. I think it's because they're lying. I think it's because when you're doing something earnestly and you mean it, and then you're incorrect, you will be quick to correct yourself. But if you're lying, you won't correct yourself because you know psychologically that you were lying and that the correction is admittance of your lying. So everyone I've known that's just been organically and legitimately and mistakenly off about something immediately comes back and corrects. But the people you argue with who are basically lying never correct themselves because that's an admittance of lying.
I got to be honest, I think you're giving them too much credit because I don't think they're lying. I think they're really this dumb.
All right.
Yeah, and they're really this dumb, but the reason that they dig their heels in so deeply is because they're motivated by the idea that they're the good guys. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, more powerful than drugs, more powerful than gambling, more powerful than money. The idea that you are on the right side, that you are the compassionate, savvy, morally righteous one is more powerful than anything people underestimate it, and that's why they dig their heels in.
Totally agree with that, but when Rochelle Walensky is talking about reopening schools and then backtracking after the school unions get to her and tell her, shut up, bitch, and go up there on that podium and say, we shouldn't open schools, she's not a dumb person, and she's clearly lying at that point. And when Dr. Fauci has no thoughts about Black Lives Matter rallies when he's shutting down churches and ballparks, he's not dumb, and he is lying. And when Joe Biden says, I've never spoke to my son about business ever, or anyone in my family about any of their business, he's lying. Like there is,
sure, but there
is a fair bit of lying going on out there.
You're describing public servants, public figures, right? That's it, kind of threaded into their professional life and everything about their life. I'm talking more so, but the people on a day-to-day basis that you might find,
the tweets,
the people who are the reason that a Joe Biden or a Karen Bass or a Nithya Rahman are in office, like they think they're the good guys.
They definitely. Yeah. Not even it transcends good. They think they're righteous.
Yes,
it's further than good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about the New York Times though? Because the New York Times seems like it's kind of going the other way. Right?
Well, the New York Times hit its nadir or something when they had that Tom Cotton op-ed about calling out the National Guard, God forbid, when Seattle was burning for the 26th night in a row.
Pillaged.
Police stations are being taken over. We've established a no-crime zone called CHOP, where the police are not welcome in Portland.
The autonomous zone, everyone forgets about that one.
Right, and he had the temerity to suggest maybe the National Guard should get involved and put an end to this.
Right.
And the editor that let that op-ed run was run out. So...
Did you see his piece in The Economist just lighting the New York Times on fire? It's very good.
Oh, wow. No,
he went.
I think I did hear about it.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. One of the few pieces that The Economist has put in front of the paywall. And he said in a maybe more, cerebral manner, more journalistic manner, a lot of stuff that we've discussed here today about the deterioration of the world of journalism, of why and how these outlets that everyone counts on these outlets to make sense. Like these are sense-making institutions. You have to trust them. Why they're no longer trustworthy. Why they do not perpetuate interesting or good ideas. And the factors that gave rise to that in his experiences. It was not the way that I would have phrased it, but very much I think a insightful explanation of what's gone wrong with journalism over the last decade.
All right. So New York Times. Yeah, I don't know if they're trying to correct course or not.
They've got a little bit. I think they realized it was going to hurt the bottom line.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with Sun Xiong recently. Right.
Yeah.
It got that bad. So the New York Times is not as bad as it was 2017 to 2021. I don't think so. But it's still far worse than it should be. And we're going to have to see. It's going to be fascinating the next couple of years, or maybe the next 5 or 6 years, to see how the New York Times deals with Trump the sequel.
Right.
Trump,
that'd be interesting.
Yeah. First, Trump round one. I mean, they lost their freaking minds. The shit that was coming out of the New York Times starting about early 2016 through 2021, I couldn't fucking believe it. They've set, that some of the temperature has gone down a little bit. The 20% of the journalists there that aren't insane, they've seemed to be elevating more, and they're not printing some. They got rid of Taylor Lorenz. They got rid of a couple of these other people. Is the New York Times going to just go complete Babylon Bee level parody nutso trying to go after Donald Trump on round two? That's going to be interesting to see.
Well, they weren't so far off. They got Pulitzer Prizes for the whole Russia collusion thing.
Super meaningful credentials in this day and
They were
age.
awarded Pulitzer Prizes for being wrong about a story for 3 years. Right. I don't know. Now, since you brought up Trump, that Biden clip at the women's rally, I'm in love with that. Somebody, wait, who Dave Rubin tweeted this one. I don't know if you've seen this one, Matt. It's really, it's not a good thing, but we'll play it for you.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Dear God.
Yeah. Sounds like when we do one of those live podcasts at the whiskey tasting convention. In Dawson. about hour two. Jesus Christ.
The Ace Awards? Yeah.
I don't know that he's going to be capable of going. I don't.
Well, that's the plan. They're locking him away.
Is there any way I can make one phone call if you want to keep me? Or is can I make one phone call and I'll be back?
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't mess with women unless you want to get the benefits, right?
Yeah. That's essentially what he said, which makes no sense. But there's a lot of slurring in that whole thing. He's been at Whiskey X for a long time now.
It sounded like you want to say women and America at the same time.
Oh, I thought it was women in America. Women in America.
Yeah.
So don't mess with women in America
unless you want the benefit.
Unless you want to get the benefits.
Let's listen again.
All right.
Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
So it doesn't make sense, and it's not good.
Because I want to get the benefits. I
like the
love
benefits.
I mean, that's why you mess with women in America.
So
to get the
I
benefits.
think I'm going to start messing with women in America.
Now, everyone says, why are all the women behind him cheering? And the answer is they can read the teleprompter mixed with his cadence. They're just a crowd of dumb, unemployable.
Well, we need to find these women because I need to know what that teleprompter said. They are the only ones that know.
Does somebody, is there some transcript? Oh, poor sign language
There's a lot of good ones on Twitter that just say,
Right,
no,
but
I don't see a transcript.
Made an attempt. Yeah.
When we were doing Adam and Drew earlier, I was trying to find a transcript, and it kept saying inaudible.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't think he's going to debate Trump. We'll put that out there
That's
early.
the plan.
Right.
He will refuse to debate.
But he's not going to say, I won't debate Trump because I can't form a sentence. He's going to say, I don't debate Hitlerian dictators.
Exactly. He's gonna abstain to defend democracy.
I would argue if you really hate Hitlerian dictators, you should go whoop up on them in a debate and take them down.
Give him a live mic.
That's right.
Let him say some things and call him out on it.
Bill O'Reilly's on your side because he says the only Democrat who could beat Trump is Michelle Obama.
Yeah. First, okay. Are there any crazy ideas anymore? I say nay. I say every crazy idea is on the table for me.
Yeah.
I think there are plenty of discussions about Barack Obama spending a lot of time in D.C. and hanging around and pulling some strings and shoehorning some policy. So, what is Biden's policy? I don't know. How much of it is Biden's? How much of it is wink, wink, nudge, nudge Obama policy? He seems to have an interest, and he's not just going off into the sunset. He wants some interest. He has some interest in shaping our society. Remember, hope and change. And remember, we were 4 days away from fundamentally changing this society. That was his thing. He wanted to fundamentally change it. I don't think he captured that dream. But if he got his wife in there, obviously he can't do a third term. But there's nothing in the Constitution about laying in bed every night with the person who is doing their first term and you telling them what you want them to do.
It's not unprecedented in politics. This has happened many times.
Many times.
There's some famous Alabama governor, I believe, who ran his wife Lurleen in his stead, and she won in a landslide because he was still running the show.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to look and see who that was. But for people who this sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory to, just take a look at that man who just spoke about the women and tell me that you 100% believe that dude, that man is running this country. Tell me he's doing it.
Here's what we can agree on. I think that the Democrats will do anything not to get Trump elected. So if our jumping off point, Matt's back in studio.
I'm sorry, it was George Wallace's wife. Wallace ran his wife, Lurleen.
Democrats are with the anyone but him mentality, right? That we're talking about.
Yeah, well, we're talking about the feasibility of Michelle Obama parachuting in the last moment.
0 would be a high estimate.
You say 0. I say everything's on the table.
No,
only because of what I've seen over the last few years.
People overestimate in interpreting Barack Obama. They still think like there's some mystery to him. Barack Obama's a pretty simple guy. Like he, and that was for both the things I liked about him and the things I didn't like about him. He'll admit many times, Michelle hated him being president. Other than the power, he kept on talking about how, even in terms, everyone goes, "Oh, Barack Obama's operating the levers of power behind the scenes the entire." No, he's not. He's sitting there in his $18 million house, smoking weed and enjoying his money. Okay, he doesn't want to get involved. He's one of other than George W. Bush, who just left the public sphere entirely, and it's like Men in Black zapped everyone's memory that he even existed, right? Because he left with such shame. Barack Obama's just there enjoying his money. He's not involved, and his wife didn't like him being there in the spotlight and all the stress that he dealt with. She doesn't want that.
Well,
and also she's not popular. Okay,
hold on. Yeah, we have the clip of marbles in the mouth again with Obama and Biden. Did we play that one on this show, or is that another?
We played it on the show before, but
yeah, they got him standing there. He's there, Matt. He showed up.
Yeah, every once in a while he's going to be there. He's the ex-president. He'll pop in.
Smoking weed in Maui.
He came, a handful of times over the course of 3-4 years.
What Matt's saying is he's wearing a jacket and tie, but he probably has board shorts on and flip-flops underneath that. Is that what you're saying, Matt?
It's not out of the question, but hey, over the course of 3 to 4 years, he's going to put on a suit and go do an appearance here and there for people. That's of the last 1,000 days or however many since he was left office, how many of those have been spent actively on political items? I guarantee you was not 10%.
I'm with you that she would not want to be president. I've heard that many, many times.
You think Kamala's letting her get leapfrogged? Same thing with the Newsom thing. Do you think there's any reality possible where the Democratic Party in 2024 is going to leapfrog Kamala to go put Gavin Newsom in there? Every Kamalaite is going to lose their mind.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what they're going to do.
I'm with you on that.
With Biden.
I'm with you on they will make some attempt that we can't necessarily anticipate right now to stop Trump. But I don't think, and I wasn't at the same place about a year ago because they went all out in 2020. They pulled out all the stops to make sure Trump didn't get in there. I thought they were going to do the same thing with trying to prosecute him, but now I'm looking at it. I was wrong. They're not going to get any of these trials before the election. They can't do it. So without that, I'm wondering, okay, what's their next tactic? I don't necessarily know.
Dwayne Johnson.
No, Joe Biden's going to be the nominee.
All right.
I'll put money on
trouble. All right, next story.
All right, so you were talking about how when Trevor Noah won the Emmy, nobody really watches The Daily Show anymore. You don't really watch it. Well, you might want to start watching it now because they have finally found a new host.
Oh, yeah. Mike
really?
Tell me this.
Yeah.
Okay, who was it?
It is Jon Stewart.
Yeah. He's just doing Mondays.
Yeah, so he's going to return in a limited capacity as host on Monday nights, and then correspondents will handle the rest of the week's broadcasts. This return to the show comes after Noah's exit prompted a long search for a new host. Hasan Minhaj was actually the front runner until that profile in the New Yorker came out.
Oh, really?
About his stand-up having embellished anecdotes.
About racism in this country.
Yeah.
Fucking making it a worse place to live. Thank you.
Yeah, so he was in the running, but now Jon Stewart is back, and I will be tuning in.
Well, what they do is what Biden did with Kamala Harris, which is you make this proclamation. They don't really make the proclamation, but the black guy's leaving, and we're going to replace him with a person of color or a woman of color or somebody who has some...
Someone from Minnesota's new council.
Yeah, that's right. We need some intersectional bona fides, right?
Under 40, for sure.
Once you do that, the pool shrinks. The pool gets much smaller, much faster, and then you have difficulty. Like the reason we have Kamala Harris is because they announce it's going to be a female. Oh, shrink it down. Oh, it's going to be a female of color. Oh, it just got smaller. And lo and behold, we have an imbecile. If you'd open it up to gingers with a cock and balls, then if you just open up to every possible candidate, then you'd have a better outcome, and you probably would have found somebody who would have fulfilled your requirements. But you shrunk it down, and now we're having difficulty.
They shrink it down even further because it's not just they fit the demographic boxes.
Yeah, Candace Owens is off the...
But
she's out.
Forget Candace Owens, someone who's even more in the middle. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is a woman of color and is like left pinky is smarter than any of these people that we're discussing.
Right.
I mean, by far, the perfect example with the Harvard
situation. Gabbard?
Gabbard.
Yes,
I'm going to fuck that up. Anyway,
all right.
Situation with Harvard. Claudine Gay. There were other African Americans who got. There's one of the African American professors that she punished was a guy named Roland Fryer. Roland Fryer's academic record was like exponentially more significant than Claudine Gay's. Roland Fryer wasn't a big DEI evangelist, right?
Right.
So it's not just that they need to fit the demographics; they also have to be super DEI-y. Okay.
No, you bring up a very valid point. It's not enough just to be black or be female or be gay, because Dave Rubin wouldn't get the gig.
No.
You have to ideologically agree with all of their insanity, and now you've really shrunk that pool. And so that what you end up with is not
racism.
Great candidates. Yes, it is racism.
It's not diversity, it's racism.
What did Roland Fryer do? Say something like...
I think he got accused. Well, one, his scholarship. This is African American male professor at Harvard. Scholarship showed that there was no police bias in police shootings.
Oh, that was the problem.
Yeah, but that's a big no-no.
I love when you deliver accurate data to them and they go, okay, this guy, we got a deep six here.
Got to get rid of this guy.
He's got to be gone. He's got to be silenced.
So when the flimsiest imaginable sexual harassment accusations were made against him, of course, everyone believed all women, particularly this woman, and Roland Fryer had to go.
It's so nauseating.
It's insane.
It's insane, and it's anti-American, and it should be nauseating to people, and that's the part that scares me. Like right before my mom died, I was like, "Who you got? Larry Elder or Gavin Newsom?" He was like, "I don't know what Larry Elder is. I know Gavin Newsom. I'm going Gavin Newsom." And I'm like, "Ugh, you just can't. You just never.
I've been pulling my hair. I've been pulling my hair out for 8-9 years now. And yes, and incrementally, waves of people now. I get to give I told you so's, and that's gratifying in a number of different directions. But I mean, like, I had to got into it with some friends a couple weeks ago, not that hostile, but I said, you should be as crazy about this as I am. Like, you agree with everything I say, but you take a different posture towards it because you don't want to deal with the smoke. And I said, no, I'm not crazy. You not being crazy is what's crazy. Had you had the same stance on this as I did in 2018, we could have cut a lot of this stuff off at the head. We could have prevented a lot of it. But now we have a much tougher battle ahead to reverse all this stuff. And yeah, the fact that you don't look at these things and think, what planet are we on? This is insane. That's that's your problem. You should be thinking this is that insane.
Look, it's everyone's fault but mine.
Yeah,
I've said it a million times.
If anything's true, that's it.
The day they closed the beaches is the day we all should have just went to the beach. and I was happy to do it, and nobody would join me. And that's what fucked us.
Preferred pronouns. Go tell a liberal from 2010, not 2000, not 1994.
Right.
Go tell a liberal Democratic voter 2010 about preferred pronouns. They look at you like you're an alien. Like, what the fuck?
You probably go 2015. Even.
But it was starting to creep in then. I was 2014, 15 when all of a sudden out of nowhere I'd see kind of slightly more liberal than me people just supporting the most insane ideas imaginable.
Those are going away though, right? I don't think I've really been
I don't know, buddy.
They're sliding. Well, look, shit that has zero utility starts to slough off. I'm not saying it slides off overnight. It just kind of sloughs off. The stuff that they claim is important, like voter ID. What happened to all the voter ID talk? Where my Democratic friends, remember that was a major core issue for you, was voter ID. I don't hear you bring it up anymore. What about banning books in Florida? What about the rewriting of the history with slavery? Like, what about all these preferred pronouns? Shit you never cared about, pretended you cared about a lot, and have immediately forgotten about.
Right.
It means you never cared about it in the first place, because why aren't you talking about this thing? There are black people out there who don't have IDs. Get the ID mobile fired up and bring it to the inner city. Let's get these people IDs. I never hear a fucking word because you never cared about it in the first place. They never gave a shit about pronouns. That was all about compliance. They were seeing, hey, buddy, I'm going to need you to lay on the ground, kick your legs over your head, and suck your own cock for me. And then you went, what the fuck? I'm not doing that. You want to get fired?
Yeah.
And he went, all right, can you help me with my belt? And that's what those fucking pussies did. That's what they all did. I listen, everyone should have went, fuck you. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what a pronoun is. Fuck right off. I'm not giving you my pronouns. Is not interesting. My kids go to a school. Their team name is the Spartans. The Spartans, the world's deadliest fighting force. And when the principal writes you a letter, he has his pronouns under it.
Yeah.
I represent the Spartans. He, me, it.
Oh, Adam, I get emails from the stuffiest law firms on the face of the planet. Dude, everybody, you can't, your tie's out of place, you get fired. They got pronouns in bio. It is bonkers, man. And what you mentioned about Douglas Murray put it well. He said the gender thing is that important to them because if they can convince you of something that crazy, they can convince you of anything.
Yes, that's why the birthing people and chest feeders and shit like that. Yeah, it's all, look, if we can convince people that hippos can fly, then we can certainly pass along some other green agenda that they'll go along with where they don't want to do the fucking science on. Yeah, that's the plan. All of it should have been rejected from Jump Street.
Right.
All right, Max Spanner.
All right, so Boeing. Yeah, there's a lot of stories coming out about them. One, that door that blew off that jet. And then there's another report that the Alaska Airlines CEO said that they found many loose bolts on some of their 737s, like 9 planes, earlier this month. And now another story just came out. A Boeing passenger's jet's nose wheel just fell off before takeoff.
Oh, great. I'm going to be on one later today.
I know. Sorry. Maybe this isn't the best story on the day you're flying, but these planes are falling apart.
Terrorist alert in Vegas.
So Boeing's declined to comment. They're like, hey, this is the airline. They're directing everyone in the airlines because it like a lot of people are saying it's a Delta. This nose wheel is actually on Delta. They're like, Delta should be checking these planes.
Well, they brought all this DEI stuff up, and I'll tell you the problem fundamentally, which is I don't know if any of this has to do with any like affirmative action hires or something. It's just when you start putting that idea in the public's head, when you say the next vice president is going to be female of color, then we all go, oh, so is she that qualified? Or is she that? And when you announce that by the year 2030, half of our pilots at United Airlines are going to be people of color and women, then we got to walk into we got to walk on a plane and see the 2 black chicks in the cockpit and go, are they really the most qualified? Now, they may be. But you guys introduced those ideas into our head, and when we see Claudine Gay get in front of Congress, your very first thought is she the wisest? Is she the smartest? Is she the most qualified? She's the most qualified? Now, I've never met her, and at that time, I had no idea about plagiarism or what her history or credentials were. So I had no thoughts other than, it's all 3 women? All 3 women, president. Not a dude in there. Oh, and Harvard's got the black chick. I'll bet she wasn't the most. Now, I don't even want to go there. And again, the beauty of sports, because when you fucking turn on the NFL Sunday and all 11 players on the defensive side of the ball and the Ravens are black, you never have a thought. Not one thought. There's not one ginger. Come on. There's not one husky white guy that couldn't be playing cornerback. Come on. Never. You never have the thought, but you've now forced us to have this thought. And shame on you.
And once again, we didn't not make any progress on gender and race relations without this stuff. We made a ton of progress. We had gotten it to a place where everyone was pretty well positioned. Go look at polls taken from various ethnic groups about race relations in the late 2000s, early 2010s. They're all extremely positive. Sometime around 2013, that chart starts plummeting, okay? Introducing these ideas is what has made everything so divisive. It's what's contaminated the relationships between people and groups, and it's just made everything worse.
You want to know why, though? That is what propelled it? Think or no? Condescending think. I know. What do you think? No? What do I know?
Very sure.
I'd like to know what you know.
I'll tell you what I know.
In many realms.
I'll tell you what I know. What I know is this country had always used the yardstick to measure when racism was completely through and over and we could stop talking about it. It was the election of the first black president. It wasn't even really anecdotal. It was anecdotal, but I mean, when comedians would go, first black president, it wasn't the first black fill in the blank head coach or anything. When this country decides to elect a black president, that'll be the day we can stop talking about racism and turn the page. It was basically agreed on through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, with a lot of jokes about it's never going to happen, or he's going to have to run serpentine, to Air Force One or whatever. Every comedian, every hackneyed comedian, even Eddie Murphy, by the way, would have a whole routine. Could you imagine a first black president? And they're showing him running, dodging bullets, right? Okay. But then Obama got elected, and then he got elected to a second term, and the second term is when all the hustlers and all the New York Times, the LA Times, all the people that make a living with the grift of racism basically went, we got to work overtime now. We got to find racism. We're going to start looking under rocks, but we are going to go nuts on racism because this is a much tougher task because we're now in the second term of a black president. And they went overtime and they went hard, and all of a sudden, boulders at colleges became racist symbols, stuff you never even thought about before. The pull rope and the NASCAR paddock had a loop on it. That could have been a noose. Or somebody hung up hoops at a park in Oakland. That must be a noose. The media. And mostly Democrats went, okay, we got to get this hustle. We're losing our grip on the hustle. Now it's all fucking focus here. And we all went nuts. It was so much better before Obama got in and then hit its peak when he left. And then they all went, now it's a full-time job for us, this whole racism thing.
You ever hear the term white privilege before 2013?
No.
That's a grotesque term. That's who the fucking balls on anybody to use that term to try to just implant the notion of somebody having elevated your life quality is a function just of that. It's no, the quality of a person's life is the function of dozens of different elements, right? Yes. And it's just to assume these things about people based on the color of their skin. Didn't we spend 30, 40 years trying to get rid of that?
100%.